King Banerjee. I want to thank you for joining our event today. I own a small business. It's called Big Frog Custom T-Shirts and More. I'm also this year's division chair for the Fort Bend Chamber's Business and Professional Division. The Fort Bend County Commissioners Court has approved a small business emergency grant program to assist businesses impacted by COVID-19. Additional funds were approved on April 27, 2021 to provide financial assistance to the small business community. The application portal will open this Monday, May 17th. If your business has been impacted by COVID-19, additional funding up to $25,000 is available. Fort Bend County has already awarded more than $47 million through the Small Business Emergency Grant Program and was awarded another $25 million in this last round. This grant program webinar is a collaborative effort between area chambers and economic development organizations that include the Central Fort Bend Chamber, Fort Bend Chamber, Fort Bend Economic Development Council, Katy Area Development Council, Katy Area Chamber, Fulshear, Katy Area Chamber, and the Needville Area Chamber. Today, we're going to provide some additional details regarding the Forgivable grants. Okay, before I introduce our speakers, let me tell everyone in the audience about our chat feature. Okay, if you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat dialog box in both Zoom and Facebook, and we'll address these questions after the presentation. At this time, I have the distinct privilege of introducing our speakers. Spurgeon Robinson, founder and president and CEO of MPACT Strategic Consulting LLC, and Ed Sturdivant, auditor for Fort Bend County. Spurgeon Robinson leads one of the fastest growing consulting and advisory services firms and is considered an innovator and leader in program management, strategy, compliance, and emergency management. He has broad and diverse experiences across multiple industries in both the public and private sector. He specializes in helping organizations maximize results and expectations through bold and innovative ideas and implementations. He thrives on figuring out what is not only possible, but what is achievable. Mr. Robinson leads a team at MPACT that embraces tackling their clients' toughest challenges and delivering solutions that lead to impactful results. Ed Sturdivant is licensed as a certified public accountant as of June 1997, with emphasis in governmental accounting. He was the assistant county auditor for Tom Green County from June 1995 through August 1997, and then appointed county auditor in September 1997 and served in that capacity through July 2000. He was then appointed county auditor of the Fort Bend County in August 2000 and still currently serves in that capacity. His current civic participation includes 7-year board member of Behind the Bad Charities and is currently serving as treasurer for the 2nd year. So without further ado, I'd like to go ahead and turn it over to Mr. Robinson and Mr. Sturdivant. Mr. Robinson?
Hello, and great. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for this opportunity to present to you and give you a background on the new small business program that's going to be funded by the American Rescue Plan Act, so ARPA. So that's an acronym you hear a lot here during today's presentation, but the American Rescue Plan Act is now enabling Fort Bend County to provide funds to small businesses to support them to continue to recover from COVID-19. As mentioned, this will be a new program. Many of you may be familiar with the prior success we had with the small business program that started last year to enable businesses to recover, but also utilize expenditures to support their business growth, but also sustain them during the shutdown last year. I'm gonna pause for a second, let Ed Sturdivant introduce the team. We'll go through a presentation led by Brittany Compton, who is also a member of our team here at MPACT. She's the program lead for that. But with that, Ed, I'll want you to start us off.
Thanks, Spurgeon. Thank you all for joining us today. As King mentioned, the court has been extremely generous to small businesses with a full understanding that getting you all back open and close to full operation is going to help this county recover faster. Getting your employees back to work, getting your businesses back into full operation, the economic impact of that will be far reaching for the entire county. And our Commissioner's Court unless we've missed something, has been more generous than any other jurisdiction that has received a direct allocation. And with 47 million, another 25, $72 million, unprecedented by any other jurisdiction. So I hope that shows how our court has prioritized your needs. So before I'm going to turn this over to Brittany, because she is the lead with our program. She has been running a very well-tuned team to address the application process and eligibility screening all the way up to submission for payment to my team. But the change that's going to happen here for this next round, have a new portal that is being administered by Shane Lucas and his team with Grant Care. And this new portal will allow you all to self-serve or monitor your grant, what you still have left to submit, the status of payment. And this hasn't been available to you until now. What we're going to ask you all to help us with is this transition. I don't want you to be overwhelmed, but you also don't need to be surprised, because we're going to ask you to resubmit your documentation if you were already a participant in our previous program. This is to ensure the full integrity of this new portal. And once we're rolling into this new portal, as we get to next phases of funding, you're not going to have to repeat this effort. So we ask for your patience with this transition. We have tested this with our rent mortgage utility program already. We've worked out many of the kinks, but you'll have opportunity if you have any issues as you move forward with this new portal to request assistance, and we have a team of people ready to respond. So with that, I'm going to let Brittany take over with the presentation on our program. Thank you.
All right, and I'm not Brittany, but I'm stepping in real quick. I'm gonna start off with the lead, and then Brittany will go through the details of it. And we see information already in chat, so good questions. I think after this presentation, you'll find some of those answers through this presentation we're have here shortly. So with that, we'll start the slideshow. So that's the fun part of all this, and get to tell you more about this new program. So I believe Paige will tee up the slideshow, and we'll be able to go through it real quickly. Great, and I'm sure everyone, and hopefully everyone can see it now. It's up. As mentioned, and Ed mentioned, this is the new American Rescue Plan Act. And so with this new source of funding, we've also improved our small business program from not only technology features that you will see that allow you to access the program through Grant Care, and we'll show you quick slideshows of sample of what that will look like, but also it'll provide you the ability to track and upload information and documentation that you can now see what you actually what you have actually uploaded, and so you'll have more visibility on the program status. This is all in collaboration with Fort Bend County Area Chambers of Commerce and Economic Development Council, who have done an amazing job of not only outreach to the membership and to the county-wide, but it's helped and facilitate making sure that we get this grant program into the hands of small businesses that are very needed. So they're needed very much. So with that, next slide. All right, I'm gonna turn this over to Brittany, and she can go through the program dynamics as well. So Brittany, is all yours.
Okay, we hope that you had a great experience through the first round of funding. There are definitely some lessons learned and some enhancements that we put in place to help out with the enrollment of the application. Like I said, this is a new program that will require new documents. The grant level is still up to $25,000 for eligible small businesses. And we have designed it to help out with keeping operations for operating business and reopening successfully. The businesses, as with the previous program, all expenses will not be covered. However, this will assist with your most immediate needs. Next slide, please. As you can see here, the grant level will remain the same. Level 1, you do have to have at least 25,000 to 100K in 2020 revenue, and that will receive up to a $5,000 grant award. Level 2 would be at least 100,000 to 2 million, will receive up to 15,000 in grant awards. Level 3 is 2 million to 5 million in annual revenue for 2020 and will receive up to 25,000. This application portal will open on May 17th, and the address can be found right here on the screen. And the funds, it will be open until June 30th or until all the funds are expended. You can still contact the FBC email that will need to be corrected. The FBC email, if you have any questions or if you have any concerns with your case managers or anything, and we will answer your questions within 24 to 48 hours. So as far as the small business eligibility, businesses must have their main operations and their main principal office located within Fort Bend County. Their business, like 2020 annual business revenue, gross sales and receipts, must be between the 25,000 and 5 million. They must have at least one employee and no more than 50 full-time employees. This is for for-profit businesses only that are in good standing and in active status with the state of Texas. If you're unsure about this status, you can look up a taxable entity search and find out that information. Businesses must be fully operational as of December 30th, 2019. If you were preparing to open prior to March 1st, 2020, you will be asked to provide additional documentation to demonstrate those commitments. That was for the business opening. The business must demonstrate the annual revenue decline of 25% or more. We will determine this based on your gross sales and receipts that are filed with your business tax return for 2019 and 2020. Businesses must provide those tax returns for consecutive 2 years, and those tax returns must be in the business name. Acceptable tax returns are listed here, depending on your legal makeup of your business. Documentation that is required to submit. Sorry, next slide, please. Documentation that is required to submit along with the application is a brief description of how you will use the grant funds, as well as how your business was impacted by COVID-19. You must certify that the funds will be used for appropriate purposes, as well as certifying that the assistance is not for the same items or not coming from another source. You must provide proof of citizenship, that is through a copy of a valid issued ID or passport. Also certify that the application is true and accurate through an electronic signature. We will also ask for an updated W-9, completed updated W-9. And with that W-9, we will verify the EIN number with the business name according to the IRS records. If it do come back invalid, we will contact you to complete a new W-9 and re-verify that information. Sometimes we will ask for the IRS letter along with that. That would just help with validation of your EIN number. So the definition of a business is an entity, individual or entity is considered a business when they have met 2 of the following criteria. Completed required registration, if applicable, with the local, state, and federal government. They must obtain through a DBA registration or through a business license. And at least one of the following. They have documented transaction from the sale of a product or professional service for the purpose of a gain or profit, has contracted for or compensated an employee or independent contractor to perform essential business functions, has acquired debt or equity capital to pursue business operations, and has incurred business expenses in operation of a business. Grants are available for businesses only for the eligible ARPA COVID-19 activities. As mentioned before, with the previous program, there were more eligible expenditures. With this program, we are only allowing commercial building leases and mortgages, employee payroll and owner distribution or draw, PPE, direct advertising expenses for reopening, and COVID-19 CDC guidelines. Required documentation for expenditures will be commercial lease that go along with your commercial expenditures. It must be fully active and executed. Payroll from a payroll service or accounting system. Business owner distribution, equity, or personal draws from business account to a personal account, and documented on the transaction as such. Checks that are clearly listed as payroll on the front of the check and deposit or canceled check. Receipts that are clear and itemized and have the payment information displayed. Copies of photos of all advertisement and itemized paid receipts to vendors. The audit process will remain the same as the previous program. Once you receive your funds, we do ask that you just start collecting your receipts, gather your receipts, and fill out the summary of expenditure form. Once you categorize your expenditures, you can email your support as well as that summary of expenditures form to the receipts@fortbendcountytexas.gov email. Once you've emailed that email address, you will get a confirmation that we have received your information, and you will be assigned an auditor to review your information for eligible expenditures. If an expenditure is deemed ineligible, applicant will be notified of remaining balance and allowed 3 months to turn in eligible receipts. Receipts and documentation for all eligible expenditures must be submitted for audit purposes within 3 months of your loan disbursement of funds, or prior to December 30, 2021, whichever is sooner. Businesses that do not complete the audit or do not provide accurate documentation will be subject to recapture of a grant award. You will be notified and sent a letter of this recapture, and a reason will be detailed on that letter as well too. Only one business allowed per owner, unless there is a separate physical location and a separate EIN. Application deadline is June 30th, 2021, and it will be until all the funds are exhausted. We go to the next. Again, this is the website that the application will be found on, and this is the email address that you can ask any questions to regarding anything dealing with the program, whether that be repayment, audit, initial grant information, or even with the previous program as well too. We do have a communications team that will get back with you within 24 to 48 hours. Now I will hand this over to, or do we have another slide? I believe Shane Lucas will go into the application portal and explain more into details on how to enroll into the new program using the Grant Care portal.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Brittany.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I need sharing permissions. I'm trying to, can you help me out there, Rochelle?
I think that's Paige that'll have to help us with that one.
Paige?
I think she just made you a co-host. You should be fine.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to share my screen now. And just as Spurgeon and Ed both mentioned previously, I guess it's 3 weeks ago now, we launched the portal for the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. And the portal solution is really designed to manage all of the grants that are coming through Fort Bend County. We started with the emergency rental assistance where landlords and tenants can log in, and now we've expanded this to fit the small business grant. So what I'm going to go through are a few slides here to actually show you some screenshots. I'll get into a portion of this that I can demo that's live, but all of this is in development now. We'll be ready to go on Monday, and just want to give you a sneak peek of how this is going to look. So the main system features and functionality that we're providing for small business is the ability to create a profile, the ability to register, the ability to upload the documents that Brittany just outlined. You submit your registration, and then you check your status. Those are going to be the main features. On the back end, where you have the MPACT team and Fort Bend County, they're going to use this system and all of the data that's being collected to efficiently manage the review process, as well as communicate with you any outstanding needs. So getting started, as Brittany provided Paige provided the link there, this is where you'll start. So just a quick screenshot here of, let me minimize this so we're not seeing each other. There you go. So you'll be able to go to the Fort Bend County grants page, and you'll see a link here that says apply now for your small business emergency grant. And that's going to take you to this registration page. You'll have to do this one time. Once you've created an account in the system, this is going to be your central hub of information where you're going to be able to check the status. If future grants are made available, we have that information stored, so you won't need to re-register or enter more information. The first step in this process is going to be to create your profile. So once that profile is created, you're providing your mobile number, your email address, and these mobile number and email are going to be used to communicate with you during the course of the application process, but also, post-application eligibility, follow up on receipts and proof of expenditures and the like. So the very first step is going to be, you're going to click the Register Now button after you've created a profile. And then you're going to be directed to this guided registration process where you're going to submit one registration per tax identification number and different physical address. And so the process is going to be guided. We're going to start with some personal information about yourself and your company. And then we're going to move through the actual application questions, which I will show you now, just so you get a sense of what we're going to be asking for. So as mentioned previously, you're going to have all of these eligibility requirements. So we're going to make sure that those requirements are met. All of this information is being collected again on the portal. But the main questions are going to fall in later here, where we're asking you to provide some general information around the business. Is it currently operational? There's going to be a section here on MWBEs. This is, again, for data collection and federal reporting requirements that we anticipate. you're going to have this finance section where we're going to see all of the different 2019 gross sales and receipts, 2020. This is what's going to be used to do the comparison. Your employee count, and then some information here to help us prevent duplicate or identify potential duplication of benefits and some of the policy requirements that we need to make sure are covered or addressed. And then you'll have some background information here. So at the end of it, there's going to be just one certification statement. You're not going to have these multiple boxes, but there'll be one certification statement that just says everything that you're saying here and submitting is true to the best of your knowledge. And we're going to be using this to actually distribute a federal grant. So I'm going to show you now a live portion of the demo. Very important piece clearly is a document upload, right? So I'm going to show you that and then just give you a sense of the general navigation, understanding that we're building this out for the business, small business application. But you're going to get to this stage in the process where there are documents that are required. And it's important to know that the portal is mobile compatible, so if you can access it from your phone or mobile device, and you can actually use that mobile device as a camera to upload the documents, which is a really cool feature, very widely used. And then what it'll do is it'll actually connect that registration data to the documents. And so makes it really streamlined review process, and all of your data and documents are housed in one place. So what you'll see here is a list of required documents. The page flashed those earlier. So you'll be able to see if you'll click on this little upload button, you'll find your document. And then we assign this auto naming convention. So this helps us ensure that all of the files are going to be named consistently. So you don't have to worry about that. And then you just click upload. And so that'll upload the document, and then anywhere that you're going to see this one remaining, that's telling us that you still have some documents to upload. And now the system won't allow you to proceed until all of the requirements on that particular page are met. So no worries there about, you know, missing something, because if it's here, the system's going to prevent you from moving forward. And also, as Spurgeon mentioned previously, the documents that you've uploaded are now part of this record. So you can come back at a later time and always see what you provided initially. And now when I click on the next stage, it's going to take me to the terms and conditions page, where I'm going to actually see the terms that I'm agreeing to. So if I just click here. Okay, so these terms and conditions are going to be aligned with the language here. So be sure to carefully read those, and that's the information that you're going to have. And then you'll just check this box, and then you'll fill in your information here, your name, and then click finish. So of course I'm missing a lot of information here, but at the end of the day, you're going to have the ability here to check your registration. So instead of saying landlord registration, it's just going to say registration. And then you'll be able to see these details. And that is it. Hand it back over to you, Spurgeon.
Great, thanks, Shane. Like I said, what Shane was showing you is our landlord portal in our rental assistance program, but the back end of it, as it's still being developed for small business, just give you a look and feel for how the document flow would look and the things that you'll see. So starting Monday, May 17th, you'll see this in full view, and we think that'll be easy to process once you complete the application, upload your documents, and then we would do our processing on the back end. So pretty simple. And the beauty of this now is that before, in the prior programs, those of you who were part of the earlier grant award weren't able to see the documents once they were uploaded, didn't know if they actually got uploaded, if they were clear or legible, and things like that. So when we request for them again, The reason was not necessarily that we didn't have them. Sometimes they were just not legible. So these are ways in which you can actually track and look at your documents, make sure they're uploaded correctly, and it'll help facilitate the process moving forward. So that's a great improvement as well. And so each of you will have individual unique IDs to log into the system at any time, 24/7 access to it. So we think this is a great improvement. As Ed mentioned earlier, we want you to reload your information for a couple of reasons. One, there are new individuals that are applying. Two, your business stats may have changed as well. So we want to make sure we just get the most accurate information since we have a new source of funding. So with that being said, great demonstration. Thank presentation from both Brittany and Shane, and Ed or King. I can turn it back over to you. We can go through questions and any other specifics that the viewers may have.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, Spurgeon. I tell you what, that was outstanding and incredible to see how much progress has been made and all the work that you good folks are doing. Sure, I'll take a stab at looking at some of the questions that came across that chat. I think several have been answered, but if we either need to elaborate or for that matter, just put some closure to it, let me just go through those really quick. Shaju Thomas asked when the application starts, and I have May 17th. Rochelle, I think you were kind enough to answer that. May 17th at 8 a.m. that the portal will be open. Is that correct?
Correct.
That's correct.
Awesome. Okay. Is the grant taxable? Ed, I'm going to point that to you with your CPA background, but that being said, I suspect that's a question also for their accountant.
Yes, and that was where I was going to encourage each business owner to refer. However, you need to understand that you will receive a 1099 from Fort Bend County for this grant. But if you kind of refer back to what Brittany was sharing on the expenditures that you're going to report to us for the eligible use, those documents or those expenses also need to be shared with your accountant, because we're saying that they're an eligible use of those funds. It's highly likely that those will be allocable to this revenue source on whatever tax form you complete. Let your tax preparer figure that out for you. Obviously, we can't give you tax advice, but the taxability will be based on how your tax preparer, tax advisor, your accountant guides you through your IRS reporting.
Awesome. Thanks, Ed. Okay, moving on. Let's see. There were a couple of questions around this. Can we apply if our organization is located in Houston, but we do work, program work in Fort Bend? Tanisha also asked, do our businesses have to be located in Fort Bend County? What I took away from the presentation is that is indeed yes. Can you guys kindly confirm?
Confirmed. We do need your business address to be in Fort Bend County to be eligible for these funds.
Okay.
And for the follow-up on that, if you have a main presence in Fort Bend County, but the nature of your business has you doing business efforts in other than Fort Bend County areas, I would encourage you to apply and let us evaluate your case for eligibility based on what you provide us. So let's not just assume that you would not be eligible if you don't materially conduct business in Fort Bend County, even though your business location is in Fort Bend County.
That's great guidance. Thank you for that. Let's see. One of the questions that came up, and I think this is applicable or something that probably everybody's interested in, from Tamara Mefford Grisco. If you've already received an FBC grant in 2020, can you apply for a second grant? And I also see Rochelle did respond to that. You can apply for a second or third grant.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Yes, you can. I was going to make one caveat for that is that we want to make sure you've used the funds that's been initially allocated to you fully to make sure that you've incurred in full use of those funds as well. So we'd like to see expenditure of all the grant funds before you get the next round of funding, just to make sure that we maintain on track. So apply, but also make sure that if you have received the second grant, that you also preparing documentation for us to review and audit that you sufficiently expended all of those funds from that second grant, and then we'll allocate the third grant to you, or the grant out of this new program.
Fantastic. Okay. Regarding the 25% decline in revenue, does that pertain to just one quarter in 2020 from 2019? Or do you have to show a greater than 25% loss for the entire of 2020?
The way the program is designed today is that we're looking at annual 25% loss over year over year, 2019 to 2020. There may be circumstances where the 25% loss may be of a quarter because of the timing of when you start your business or prepare. So I'll let Ed add to this, but I would encourage you apply anyway and let us evaluate those circumstances and see whether or not that situation where we may have to look at a last quarter or first quarter 25% decline. But right now we're looking at annual 2019 to 2020 annual decline of 25%. But we do want to still encourage you to apply in case there's a scenario where your business still may be eligible.
Yes.
You want to add to that?
Exactly accurate. We were flexible with our first grant program with regard to this because we started to experience businesses that couldn't demonstrate that full year of comparison from the prior year. So tell us what you've got. Tell us what your experience is. We will give you full consideration. The court wants us to get these funds in the hands of the businesses that need them. Help us understand that you're one of those businesses that needs these funds.
Awesome. Okay, continuing on. I had a balance from my previous grant award, and I only used a payroll portion of the grant for my employees, not myself. Can I allocate the balance as owner's draw instead of repaying it back to Fort Bend?
Yes, Brittany, you can answer that one, but I'm assuming the answer is yes, you can do that.
Yes, you can make a payment to yourself as an owner's draw to clear out that balance, because we won't issue any more funds until we have all of the documentation for that prior balance.
And as mentioned in the presentation, if you're doing that, just clearly document and show a transaction that goes from a business account to your owner account as a personal account, and document as such in the notes so we can just clearly see that what the transaction was.
Yes, thank you for that.
Right. Okay. All right. Someone asked here, I've not heard back regarding the receipts I received from the second grant I was awarded. Will this impact my ability to receive a third grant?
So you will have to go through the audit process. They will have to review your information. Once they review your information, they will reach out to you. If you are inquiring about a status update regarding the audit process, you can email that FBC email address, and we will look into your individual case, and then we'll get back with you. Make sure that auditor reaches out to you, but that will affect your third grant. You do have to provide all the eligible receipts for that second grant, and then we will process additional funding.
And you should not wait to apply. It just means that your third grant application will be paused until the receipt requirements are fulfilled through audit.
Correct.
Okay, questions keep flowing in, guys. Is there a maximum amount that can be allocated as an owner's draw for this new grant cycle?
So we
haven't set that.
Pardon?
We haven't set a maximum amount.
No, we haven't set a maximum amount. It should be consistent with what you would normally have as a draw. We just actually be consistent with what you normally would actually use as an owner's draw. That's really the parameters around it.
Right. Transactional experience from a historical perspective will help the auditor substantiate what you're drawing. It doesn't mean that your draw can't be greater, but anything that is way outside of the norm will result in questions.
Right.
Understandably. Yeah. Okay. If awarded the grant, will we be assigned someone for questions as we turn in paperwork?
Yes, you will be assigned an auditor to, well, a case manager that will answer all of your questions and that you'll be able to contact through email or phone.
Okay. Can I use these funds to expand my business?
Expansion of the business is an allowable use. It just has to be within reason. You'll have to demonstrate how this is helping your business recover from the economic impact of the pandemic. So, and of note, if any of you have read through the massive act, the clear goal, the underlying goal is jobs, 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 putting people back to work. So my encouragement is, if you're going to focus on expanding your business, if you demonstrate how your employee count is going to grow, you're promoting job growth, it's going to get you there a lot easier.
That's correct. And like I said, to reiterate what it said, you know, we have the allowable expenditures that you can submit. All those go toward creating healthy. So we want the business to reopen. But in addition to that, you know, things such as capital expenditures, things like that, probably not. But hiring employees, signage, advertising, all those things that enable your business to grow, that's what we want you to spend the money on. Expenses.
Oh, that's great. Okay. Let's see here. Can I use these funds to expand my business? We talked about that. What if your business moved to Fort Bend County last year? Can I still apply?
Please apply, and your case will be fully evaluated. We do have a cutoff, because we've even had businesses that started, they had invested capital, and then the government shut them down. So they had all of this stuff moving. They had contracts, agreements, licensing, employees kind of keyed up for hiring, and then boom, we shut them down. Obviously, we can help the businesses that were efforting in that manner. So if you feel that you have a similar circumstance, meaning, and not as a new start in the middle of the pandemic, hey, I've got an idea, that would definitely not be an allowable applicant within our program. But for this question, please apply. The circumstances of your situation will be fully evaluated. So I don't want to categorically say to this question without the details.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. Apply is what I'm hearing. Okay. Let's see, and I think we answered this earlier. I think this was, let me clarify. It's for-profit businesses, but one of the questions is, can a nonprofit apply for this grant?
The county, the nonprofit should not apply for these grants. The county, the Commissioner's Court, has addressed some nonprofits in the American Rescue Plan Act budget. If you have interest as a nonprofit and you have not been one of those identified, my suggestion is that you make contact with a member of our Commissioner's Court, maybe whatever precinct you live in or where your business is located. Contact the precinct commissioner in your area and have them advise you on consideration for inclusion in the nonprofit allocations, because the act was very specific. Local governments can assist nonprofits now. That was omitted in the CARES Act from last year.
Okay. Let's see here. After applying, how long does it take to hear back from someone?
Brittany?
Yes. So once you apply, we give it a good 3 to 5 business days to hear back from someone to let you know that your application is in review. They will give you a status update as to if you're missing any documentation and provide you, if you're approved or eligible for the grant funds. They will let you know a timeline on when to receive the funds. And we ask that you provide an additional week so that the county can process that information for payment. They do have to go through a verification of your EIN and your business name, and then that check is placed in the mail. So we do ask for an additional week on top of that, or a week and a half for that check to reach you.
And Brittany, and maybe this is a question more for Shane. Isn't it our goal to make most of that information that the business can see online? So if I'm going in at midnight home, I just shut my business down, I want to check on the status of my grant, I can go. Isn't that our goal with Shane?
That's exactly our objective, is to have a portal that's always available. The extent to which we utilize all of those features and functions are going to be driven by, you know, the needs and as the program evolves. But the central tenet that we're all operating under is to have the portal always available for you to go in, check your status, upload documents. There's going to be several different communication paths that we go on, right? So there may be some text messaging, there may be some email notifications, but there's always going to be that portal where you can go back to actually show the status, upload new documents, look at what you've already uploaded, and really keep you connected with the back end where the review process is happening.
Okay. And in Brittany's presentation, we are still representing that the receipts to substantiate the use of the funds will be sent to our email. Is it something we can allow the portal to have those loaded as another link for uploading my receipts?
Absolutely. Those are all features that will come along as the program progresses. So we look at this as a phased rollout, right? So the most important piece is to get the infrastructure stood up. We've got that with ERA program, and now we're using that platform and configuring these new grants. So over the initial phase is going to be launch the portal, have the application available. Phase 2, get with Brittany's team, make sure that they have everything that they need to efficiently manage the workflow and be able to communicate. That means templates, all of those notifications. And then the next phase would be all of our enhancement phases. So you really have the 3 months to spend the funds and then upload the documentation. So we know that in between there, you're going to constantly see some portal enhancements. To coordinate those rollouts, we typically will provide a video link that explains the new functionality, and then we can also work with this group and your team, Ed and Spurgeon, to coordinate other live events as needed. We found that to be effective. Our firm's communication style is very interactive. Well, we are engaged with you, and we want to make sure that you have everything that you need and that we're being responsive. Don't want to promise the world to anyone. We do aim to please, but at the same time, we recognize we need to make this a very efficient process for everyone involved to get this money out and get these businesses up and running again. Being a small business ourselves, we understand the value of this.
Yeah. And for all of those on the webinar today, it's our goal to get these funds in your hands. And as Shane mentioned, we're going to continue to improve on this. We are making an active decision not to delay the rollout of this grant program until we think we have everything perfect, because we will never have everything perfect. We will take your comments and suggestions and continue to improve on our process, but we don't want to wait any longer. So we're going to get out there with what we have now on May 17th, 8 a.m., and we'll continue to improve and revise and make this a more positive experience and more efficient experience for all of you.
Yeah, that's great, Shane, man. Thank you. Okay, one more specific example, then I'm going to go through really quickly and conclude with some yes and no questions. But one specific example, this first quarter pre-COVID, or the first quarter pre-COVID would have been comparable to 2019, maybe even higher. But March to December of 2020 would be much less than March to December of 2019. Would that be the period being compared to determine if there was a 25% decline? in revenue between 2019 and 2020?
That's a great example of where we would need you to give us exactly those specifics so that we can make sure that what you're demonstrating, even though it fit the perfect presentation of our application requirements, you can demonstrate to us how you were significantly impacted by the shutdown from the pandemic or the reduced business activity caused by the pandemic. So please apply, share your information, and of note, if you don't have the block to complete on the application portal that gives you the ability to share your information, this is what we shared with all of the applicants before. Complete a memo. You can upload the memo and tell your story. Explain what you put in the information blocks on the application and help us, the case managers, understand how you were significantly impacted by the economic impact of the pandemic. Tell your story.
Yeah. There seems to be a theme here. Let me ask you, okay, so is there a limit to how many employees you have? I thought it said 50, but I'm going to defer
50.
back to you. Is that right?
50. And just for everyone's benefit, our goal here is to help the most vulnerable businesses, and our commissioner's court defined what they wanted to call small business. And that was the 25,000 to 5 million in revenue and 1 employee to 50.
Yeah. Okay, here's a question. If I'm an entrepreneur, can I still apply? And I suspect that has to do with whether they were in business or not.
And for an entrepreneur, meaning that you're a sole proprietor and you're the only person in your business, we have in the application that you have to have 1 W-2 employee. Obviously, in many circumstances, you don't pay yourself as an employee. However, if you want to proceed with the application, make sure we give you full consideration, please apply. Again, I don't want to just categorically say, no, you're not eligible. Demonstrate your business, and if you can't tell that story in the information blocks on the application, provide a memorandum that describes your situation. Why you didn't have a W-2 employee because you're a sole proprietor and you're the only person in your business. Explain that and we will give you full consideration.
Let me add to that too. If you are a 1099 contractor to a business, you're not considered a business per se. So if you're working for a company and they have you as a 1099 employee, we get this a lot. Can they submit as a business? In that instance, no, you're not considered a business. So we also have definitions of what the business is on the website. So you can look at that for clarity, but want to make sure that those individuals that want to apply and they're 1099 to a larger corporation, that's not considered a business.
And our commissioner's court was particular about this. And the best example I can give for what Spurgeon just referred to, and we received applications from these independent contractors, Uber and Lyft drivers. Obviously, they're private contractors for Uber or Lyft. And yes, they get a 1099, and yes, they are in business, and yes, they were impacted by reduced rides in the pandemic, but that was not the direction that the court wanted to go with this program. They wanted to help the businesses that had more substance within the county as a business, whether it's physical location, bricks and mortar, employees. They wanted to reinforce the revitalization of that. Get you back open, get your customers coming back in or calling you, however they communicate with you to do business with you.
Yeah. All right. Shane, this might be going towards you actually. Does the application, do you have the application in other languages? And if so, which ones?
Yeah, so the application itself will rely on the Google Translate widget. So up at the top of your screen, you're going to see the ability to change languages. Now, recognizing that this is good for different languages, you have different percentage of accuracy, but we feel like the questions that are being raised on the application itself are going to be pretty easy to translate. And so we feel confident that the accuracy of the translation is good enough to get all of the information in. But you'll be able to select the language here.
And if you have someone that you need to actually have it translated or help you assist you with entering information to the application, we will have a set of individuals that can actually walk you through and submit the application on your behalf. I even think maybe, Michelle, I may be speaking in advance, maybe the chamber can assist with those who may want to walk in and then log into a portal or come into one of the offices. They can do that as well if they need assistance at other sites. Since it'll be totally computer enabled, you can log in from anywhere and start your application. So if it's necessary, we can use that as a feature and a functionality too.
And the county has also provided to the case management teams a consultant that by phone can be conferenced in when a case manager is talking with a business owner that is in a language that we don't have a resource. We can bring this consultant in and provide us with that special language resource.
Correct.
We will get your application in. And with the help from the Fort Bend EDC, all the chambers, our marketing campaign is much broader with this next phase. So we expect to reach a lot more businesses that we didn't necessarily hit before, and whether it was a language issue or just in remote areas where we weren't reaching out, we're going to be much more aggressive. We're already much more aggressive. I'm saying that to also encourage you, don't wait to apply. As Brittany mentioned, we've set some deadlines. June or until the funds are exhausted. And what's important to note is that the sooner we subscribe these funds, the sooner we can go back to Commissioner's Court for consideration of additional funding. So again, encouragement to all of you, apply and conform to whatever the auditor or case manager is guiding you to do so we can forgive the grant, you fully complied, and we're moving on to the next phase of our funding.
That's probably a great note to end on. Ed. Thank you for that. I'll say, you folks, as a small business owner myself, the resources that are available to us, obviously this entire COVID event is unprecedented, but the resources that have been made available are equally, if not surpass that in many cases. And what I ask all my small business friends, owning friends, is get the word out. Let people know about this, because they're out there. A lot of people just don't know. And so whether it's through contacting your local chamber or contacting the county itself, I encourage you please to do just that. So Mrs. Sturdivant, Mr. Robinson, Brittany, Shane, thank you so very much for really a great discussion. We're excited to offer this program to our business community. I want to thank you all for attending what I believe was a very informative presentation, and learn about the forgivable grants for the small business owners here in Fort Bend County. Have a great day, all. Take care.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you.